there's a big problem in the marketplace. 99% of people can't get their music heard. I want to build a music social network. The first music social network, truly a music social network.
Attention coaches, consultants, course creators. If you get paid based off your knowledge, I'm going to tell you something very, very important, okay? What if I could teach you how to make extra 5 to 6 figures every single month using simple Facebook and Instagram ads, all right? Let me tell you about my boy. He got the paid ad playbook. Listen, this paid ad playbook is going to give it to you for free, first off. Marquel Russell, one of the most genuine people I've ever met, he's created over $500 million in client revenue using the paid ad playbook strategy, all right? So listen, go to socialproofgift.com or text PROOF to 904-447-5274. If you want to get 50 to 100 new client leads every day that actually convert, you need to go to socialproofgift.com or text PROOF to 904-447-5274. And he's going to give you a bonus video that helps you with a strategy to customize your particular strategy for your particular business. All right? Again, socialproofgift.com, text PROOF to 904-447-5274. Let's get into the episode. Welcome to another edition of the Social Proof Podcast, where we find dope people that did dope stuff. Today is no different. I'm really excited about this one because I have literally been asking Tony to come to the podcast for a year. No lie.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yep.
And he said no. He said no. Like, most of the time, when somebody, if I, not to toot my own horn.
Did I say no?
What? Mad times.
I don't remember that.
Most of the time, if I ask somebody to come to the podcast, they're excited. Yo, I'll book my flight. He's like, no. He said, not right now. No, not right now. Maybe later. Or we'll start talking about something different. I'm like, bro, can I get you on the podcast? So, Tony Abrams, how are you?
I'm well, man. What's up, brother?
I'm awesome, man.
Good to see you.
Happy to finally have you here. I got to let everybody know that you helped me get out of my job. So I met you when I was working at the Cheesecake Factory. You came to Georgia in 2009. My best friend Brandon brought me over and he's like, this is my Uncle Tony. He said, this guy's a millionaire. I said, really? I was so intrigued. I was like, wow, like, really? And he said, yeah, you got to meet him. He knows all this business stuff. Now, Brandon don't know about business at this point. He's like, he does business and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, well, cool. So I meet you and you're just the coolest person in the world. And this is where I got the whole philosophy on taking people to lunch.
Oh,
you remember our lunches?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. We used to go to what's that Italian place, the Olive Garden.
Yeah. And then we went to like some sandwich spots because I would always price out what's there first. And I think we went to Olive Garden. The first time we went, I don't think you got a lunch portion. You got a dinner portion. I said, nope. Next time we're doing sandwiches. I was still working at the Cheesecake Factory at this point. But you gave me so much game on leaving my job. Your perception of me, 2009, what was it?
Hungry. Ambitious. On the move.
Yeah. So, 2009, I'm still there. I think I actually started my business 2010. I think we met in 2010. And I started the business 2010, and I'm just trying to get this t-shirt brand off the ground. And you just advised me on like so many different points on like running my business like a business.
Well, you're doing it still to this day. Like you were good at asking the questions. Even then, you had your podcast mobile. Because you were taking me out to lunch and you probably taking other people out to lunch and you're asking questions and you're applying those questions in your own experience, in your own businesses. And you're still doing it today because I'm sure you're listening to people at your guests and you're like, yo, I'm going to do that, you know, and you're growing your business and you're just asking the questions. Yeah. And so you're really good at asking the questions.
Yeah, you've definitely been my most impactful mentor. So I want to get into the kind of like the backstory of how you became who you are, right? So fast forward, you started, what would you call TWEEDL? What would you call it? So there's a podcast, but it's a streaming platform.
It's a music social network.
A music social network.
Yeah, it will become. It's on its way.
How much you put into it so far?
Personally, $250,000.
Yeah, but
we've raised $2.5 million, which is kind of funny because it's just not enough money. right? I literally need like a Steve Stout infusion. You know, he gets $70 million from Google to set up United Masters, and then Apple puts in 50, and then another group comes along. It's that kind of money it takes to create these really strong, compelling propositions in the marketplace. So I got to amp my game up a little bit.
So tell us about TWEEDL, because I always like when you start talking about TWEEDL, because you're so passionate about the music industry and stuff like that.
So fun fact in music is that
introduce yourself too, because
let me give you some background first. So how I kind of did my journey. So you heard me earlier. I'm a CPA by training. Worked in public accounting, Harvard Business School, Wall Street investment banker, and then I became a tech investor, and I was a founding partner and CFO for a venture capital firm that spun out of a large global tech company.
Hold on, how did you get into that?
So I was a finance guy, and this little group was forming in a large global tech company, and they needed a CFO. And my buddy worked at the company, and he said, "Oh, you got to meet my friend Tony." And they met me, and I became the CFO of this venture capital group for Lucent Technologies.
What year was this?
This was, this is early 90s, I guess.
Early 90s.
Mid 90s, yeah. At the time.
In a tech company. So tech wasn't as...
So it wasn't, yeah. And that was when I got my first 7-figure check. So it was, literally it was like, all of a sudden there's a 7-figure check. but
how did that come about? What you mean?
We did it. So everybody in this room uses our claim to fame. And so I'll tell a story. So about 20 years ago, we sat down with a Bell Lab researcher. And he said, wouldn't it be cool if you could connect your laptop to your corporate network remotely and not lose connectivity while driving down the highway? And we thought, wow, because, back then you can connect your laptop to your corporate network and you dial in and you get that squiggly sound and you're tethered to your phone line in the wall. And so he was introducing this notion of mobility. And we're like, wow, that'd be really cool. And you're just thinking about being on a plane or being in a car and you're logging into your corporate network and you're more efficient in your commuting and all that sort of stuff. And so we seed funded that napkin from our investment fund, $5 million. He drew up the whole idea on a napkin. We invested $5 million into this company called Flareon Technologies. We went out and raised another $100 million with traditional venture capital firms. And we grew the business and we sold it to Qualcomm for $850 million. And so I got a piece of that. And, so...
Tell me about the technology.
The technology was really around managing packets of data over the air. And so,
Did he invent Wi-Fi?
Yes, this was the first. So it was 1G. So we sold it to Qualcomm. So we had mobility. Qualcomm had...
Whoa, hold on. Hold on. No. So this guy is drawing on a napkin Wi-Fi.
He was drawing on the napkin diamonds and squares and triangles.
And he's
engineering stuff, right? And then, so I didn't quite understand the napkin. My partner is an engineer. He kind of understood the proposition. And but that's what it was. It was describing the ability to share information over pipes, over networks, wireless data networks.
The first iteration of Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so it was 1G, first generation. Yeah, so it was when we sold it to Qualcomm. They combined it with their solutions because they had mobility in mind and miniaturization. And back then, cell phones were big, it's kind of funny when you think about it, but, it was an analog networks, and all that sort of stuff. So it was really slow, but it was the future. And it was all about putting a personal communication device in everybody's hand. And that's what they were called, PCDs. Now they're just mobile devices, cell phones, smartphones, all that kind of stuff. But back then it was a personal communication device.
Wow.
Yeah. And so... That's what happened. And so nuts. I saw it from 1G to 2G, 3G, 3G LTE, 4G LTE. Now it's 5G.
Goodness
the whole
gracious.
Evolution of it.
Who was that guy?
I don't even remember the engineer's name. Shook or something like that.
He's a trillionaire by now, I'm sure.
Yeah, well,
Well, unless they took the technology, gave him a small cut. And
I don't know his personal economics. to be honest, I really don't know his personal economics on that deal.
But that whole company that y'all put together was specifically to invest in companies.
It was a fund. It was an investment fund, but our corporate parent was our financial backer. And Bell Laboratories, which you may be familiar with, is a large research center, and they would just invent new technologies. Have researchers trying to create whatever they want, just a white piece of paper and invent whatever you want across a wide spectrum of technology applications. And this was something that was born out of Bell Laboratories, and we created a new company around it.
Wow. Did y'all have any other big hits in terms of?
I mean, we've had technologies that are embedded in things like, you ever get like, we call it reverse 911. That came out of a company we call Public Safety Systems. So in collaboration with Motorola. So think about it like there's a gas leak in a community and you get a notification, or you get a notification of guns being fired on campus and, on a college. That's a reverse 911. Like, there's a public emergency and the administrators at large are letting the public know what's going on. So that's reverse 911 versus you seeing an incident and you're calling 911. It's reverse 911. So some of those kind of technologies were embedded in our public safety system business, which was the birth of the whole 911 system, by the way, too.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, but you decided to leave that company.
So,
it's your company.
So, yes, I was a founding partner, and we started partnering. We bought our portfolio we started investing through Lucent Technologies, who was our corporate parent, and we bought our portfolio. So we went out, raised $180 million. We had a collection of companies that we bought out. And then we started partnering with other research companies like Motorola, Intel, research-intensive companies, Motorola, IBM, Intel, British Telecom, bunch of others. And we were spinning technologies out of their research centers into startup companies, and we would provide the capital to fund those companies.
Oh, dope. But why did you?
So I did it for about 12 years, and it was no longer fun. Right? The passion left. It was just making money. And I never forget, I went to my partners and I said, my son is playing in Little League Baseball, and all these local businesses would like buy banners and put on the home run wall. And I wanted our company to have a banner on the home run wall. It cost like $1,500, right? So I was like, yeah, we could put our company banner on my son's Little League. I want the company to pay us $1,500. And I got partners and they said no. It's like, it's like, man, we're not even down with the community. And that started my mindset. Like, this really is just about the greed of capitalism and Wall Streetism and investing and stuff. And it really wasn't about community and give back or anything. And that began the downfall of my desire for that business. And so when I resigned from the partnership, that resignation process was like a year because, you're a partner, you own a big chunk of equity, you care about it because you own equity. And you've worked with these people for 12 years. You've seen their kids grow up, their wives and spouses. And that was like my family, my work family. So,
you still talk to those guys?
Yeah. Some of them are investors in TWEEDL. Yeah. Yeah. So it was a journey. It was a transition from being in this environment. It was the first entrepreneurial play because when we bought it out, it was my first entrepreneurial business, but it was funded and running. And so it didn't have the pain of starting like a new company. And so after 12 years...
Did you sell your equity or...
No, I mean, for a couple of years afterwards, they were still making investments and selling companies and I was getting checks. Yeah. So second income stream.
That's lit.
Yeah. So that was some money while I was doing my sabbatical. I had some cash coming in and when you're good at doing something, people kind of get the word about what you're good at and they call you for the things that you're good at. And I had gotten a call from a lawyer that I worked with. He says, hey, we got this client and they launched an investment company in New York and they don't have a CFO. And I was like, I don't want to be a CFO of an investment company anymore. So, well, just maybe you can help them out, help them get set up and everything, right? And they had raised like $200 million and only white people can do this, right? I'm not racist, but I don't know of any black person that could raise a $200 million investment fund and not have a finance organization in place at the time that they raised the fund.
Why do you say only white people can do it?
Because we have to demonstrate that we can manage their money. Right? So if you're going to raise a $200 million fund, the investors want to know that you can administer your fund, that you can, manage the money and be in compliance with all the terms and conditions of the agreements and all that stuff. And that's usually the role of the CFO. And, you have these guys who have $200 million and they're like, they don't even know how to call the capital down. They don't know how to do the reporting. They don't know how to do anything. They didn't have any infrastructure. So I had to set it up for them. And so I agreed to help them out. And so for that 5-year period, once a month I'd work a few days and they were paying me well to kind of be their outsourced CFO.
Okay.
So while it looked like I didn't work a lot, I didn't, but I did do some work. I did do some work. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you 5-year sabbatical, you leave the company that you built.
Yeah, and so now I'm down here hanging with you guys.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Having lunch with you and messing with my nephew over there as well, and chilling with my family, working out with my parents. They were coming to the house, working out with my mom and dad, which was kind of fun in its own way. And then I get a phone call from a buddy of mine, and he says, "You ready to get back in the game?" And I said, "What do you got?" And he says, "CFO for Diddy." And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to work for Diddy, but it would be cool to meet him. So I flew to New York, and 90 minutes later, he convinced me to relocate back to New York to be his CFO. And
the CFO of all his companies.
Of everything. So he had, 7 businesses. So I would be like the corporate level CFO. All of the businesses had like a lead finance person, and they all reported to me.
Oh, so you're over like, it is what? Combs Enterprises. Yeah. So let's say like Bad Boy has his own CFO.
Right. And that
let's see, Ciroc has their own CFO.
Right.
But you are responsible.
Sean John has CFO. Revolt TV has its CFO. And they all reported to me from the finance function. They reported operationally to their CEOs of the businesses. So, but they all kind of report to me, and I sat on the boards of all of these companies.
How's that?
How was
that?
Well, it was probably the best job in my career, working there, primarily because of the diversity, right? It was a very diverse company environment, a lot of Black leadership, a lot of female leaders in the organizations, Latinx's leaders in the organizations, and white. So it was the most diverse company I've ever worked for.
And if you're coming in, there's got to be something that you're coming in to fix. Was someone leaving, or what brought you?
Yeah, every business goes through a journey, and you grow, right, and you outgrow your team, your infrastructure, and you have to kind of catch up again. And that was the phase that, Combs Enterprises was going in. Diddy had sort of moved beyond music, and Ciroc was blowing up. Revolt had just been launched. There was a lot of things going on, and the infrastructure around it wasn't, keeping pace.
Set for the growth.
Yeah, it wasn't set for the growth of the business. So I had to come in and upgrade and professionalize the organization and the infrastructure around it. Yeah.
Did you meet Jay-Z and Beyonce?
Met Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Who's the most interesting celebrity that you met? Just being
Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Really? Why?
Well, because they're, it's funny because they're VIPs among VIPs. And I'll tell you how I met them. So Puff had a New Year's Eve party in Miami at his house. And, he's got this big pool in the back. And so it was 2:00 in the morning or so, and like my wife's feet are killing her, so she's sitting down, and I would do loops around the pool just to see who I could meet. And a loop would take me like 30 minutes, right? Because you stop and you're meeting people.
Yeah,
Dennis Rodman, Al Sharpton. You don't know who you're gonna meet. You're just walking and you start meeting people and you're working your way around. And so I'm talking to somebody, and just over my shoulder, I look, and literally Jay-Z is right here and Beyonce is right there, right? And it's like 3 a.m. I'm like, yo, Jay, man, I'm with the company now. I'm literally with the company a month, right? So I'm like, yo, Jay, B, hey, what's up? I'm Puff's new CFO. How you guys doing? Like they know me, right? So, I get the hug and stuff, and I was like, yo, man, let me get this quick pic, right? And I pulled out my cell phone, and they just like, they just quickly jumped up, right? And like posed for me, right? I'm like, and I do click, and my phone says, battery too low for a photo, right? I was like, thank you for that. All right, because what can I say, right? I put my phone away and I didn't get the photo.
Goodness gracious. I was about to ask you, where's the picture?
Yeah, so then we never saw it. So then we, they go into the VIP section. And in the VIP section, all night long, there was like a section in the VIP section for somebody who was a real VIP. It was for them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they go and they sit in there.
Even at Diddy's house, there's VIP, and then there's a VIP section
for so you got Jamie Foxx, Mary J, or, what's his name? Robin Thicke and Paula Patton, and just all these VIPs in there. And I'm talking with all these people, and Jay-Z and Beyonce come and they get a seat and they get their special food and they get, it was like all laid out for them. VIPs among VIPs. So we sat down and started, Marilyn, my wife, is sitting down talking to Beyonce. I'm talking to Jay-Z and stuff. And the reality is that they're just people. They're just, they're just all people.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their different style, but, like Busta Rhymes is really cool. He's fun, and just everybody's just people.
Listen, as you know, I am in Nehemiah Davis's inner circle. I talk about him all the time. Last year, I had the biggest year financially based on his teachings. Actually, we just ran a play. He helped me make $70,000 in one day. Listen, what he's doing right now is an upcoming digital masterclass teaching exactly what he taught me to have a 7-figure year. I'm telling you, I owe a lot of my success to this man because he just understands marketing in a whole nother way. But what he's doing is offering the things that he taught me to you for free. He's doing a digital masterclass that he's given to you for free at general admission, 50% off the VIP. I suggest VIP. Because you get a lot more time with him and he really pours into the VIP. But if you just want to go to the class and you want to be a part of it, general admission free. A lot of y'all been following him, waiting for him to open something up. He's giving it exclusively to the podcast listeners, 50% off. So don't tell nobody, okay? So listen, go to spmasterclass.com, free general admission, 50% off VIP. Do VIP though, okay? spmasterclass.com. Go get it. Let's have a big year this year. Wow. And I know I think no. When did you start RLL Finance? You remember RLL Finance?
That was here.
No, I'm saying, no. But so that was before.
That was before I went to work for Diddy. I was living in Atlanta.
Because that was a big problem that you wanted to solve.
Yeah, so I try to focus on, if I were to leave a message for people, is like the bigness of your dreams matter. Like you hear people talking about how you start your journey. And I always just say dreams can get really big. Like I'm trying to build $1 billion platform right now. So TWEEDL, in my mind, could be a multi-billion dollar platform. And it takes a lot of capital. I've been at it for 4 years. It's not making any money, can't give up on the journey. Just like, it's like that story. It's like, you never know, when the last strike is going to come for the tree to fall. So you just keep chopping away and your hands are bruised and you don't want to stop because that last hit might be the one that topples the tree. And so, logic would say, give up. And I just can't give up because I feel the momentum, but it's not showing up in revenues and business development and all that kind of stuff and raising capital. So you just keep hitting the axe.
So tell me about TWEEDL, because it's a huge...
Yeah. So while I'm working with Puff, right, I'm going to all these music industry events, the Revolt Music Conference and different things. And so people see me in the VIP section with Diddy or with French Montana, some of the Kardashians or Kanye, whoever this VIP guest is, I'm in the VIP section with them too. So people are observant. And then I'm Tony. Right? So they leave the VIP with their entourage. I leave the VIP and walk across the hotel lobby like I'm Tony, right? So I get swarmed by these young, aspiring music artists. And they're asking me for advice on their music career. And I'm like, I ain't a music industry exec, but they think I am.
Right.
And really, when I thought about it, like I am a connect, right? Like I know all these people in the industry and I have access and stuff. And so, I started talking to these and they would hit you like 20 at a time. And I started asking, what's your biggest problem? And they all said the same thing. They can't get their music heard. And I'm like, all these young, aspiring music artists who want to hand out their CDs and their flash drives and their music and stuff. And they're just trying to get their music heard. And that was their experience. And I was like, there has to be a better way. Why is it that they can't get their music heard? And so, and that was probably like 400 artists over the course of a couple of years, where I heard the exact same thing. I can't get my music heard. How do I get my music heard? So I went out and started doing some research on like what's going on in the music industry and stuff, and learned some fun facts. And the fact I think that hit me the most that I was able to deduce from everything I was reading was that 99% of all new music, regardless of how good it is, goes unheard.
99%.
So when you're listening to the music around here on the radio and stuff like that, you're listening to 1% of the creatives out there. And, you know, just case in point. So Spotify at the time had 3 million artists on their platform, and only 22,000 of them, 0.7%, less than 1%, generated streaming income over minimum wage.
Wow.
Less than 1%. The rest, they're just not being streamed. And those stats held true for YouTube streams, Apple Music, whatever the case is. People don't get their music heard. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why that is, but TWEEDL is designed, but the fundamental reality is that you can't, the industry is not set up to vet the volume of content that's out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's still gatekeeper driven, somewhat manual, and
it seems like that. It seems like kind of like we have this independent movement. Meaning
a big movement today. Big movement.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because what's being heard loud and clear is that the industry can't vet the content. So people are naturally going to find other ways to get their music heard.
Gotcha.
Right? So, and, you know, but still, 99% goes unheard.
Yeah.
Right? With all the movements and push for TikTok and, you know, social media and stuff like that, it's still hard to get your music heard. And that's because there's no efficient way to connect artists with people efficiently, right? If you think about it today, most people don't want to be a discoverer. Most people don't say they like discovering new music. Because what do you have to do to discover new music? You got to scour through websites and blogs and social media and music networks. And, you know, it's just a lot of work. It's not efficient. It's not easy and stuff. And so people just want to experience new music. They don't want to have to, quote unquote, be a discoverer and go out into the uncharted waters and stuff. but 200 million songs are released each year today. How can any industry vet that? The people need to vet the music.
Right.
Right. And so our platform is like, let the people vet it first as opposed to last. Because today you're trying to go into this system that produces and does all this sort of stuff. And then at the end of the process, they promote it and stuff and then say, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Put it on Spotify. What do you think?
Right.
And the people come in at the end and say, nah. And if they don't like it, the labels put you on the shelf, your music don't get heard. When we're just saying, like, tell us what you like up front, right? Because technology...
So walk me through TWEEDL and what it does.
So the difference with TWEEDL is we socialize first. So we believe that the people should have a voice. It's a democratization of the process. So we just went through it a couple of years ago with the election of a president, right? The Republicans say, hey, we want to run for president. And Democrats say, hey, we run for president. And anybody can submit their name on the platform, right? And you got to build your fan following. You got to get a community around you to say, sign enough petitions like, yeah, I want to hear your views. And then you get out there and you give a stump speech. And people tune in and I like what this person is saying. I like what they're doing. And you follow them and you support them and you share them with your friends and you do all that kind of stuff. There's no platform like that for music in a sense where you can have a true democracy where the people have a voice, right? And so the whole idea is like to give a home for artists where they can upload their music, where people can randomly discover music by genre and lend a voice to it. Like, I think this is nah or dope. Right. And you get to choose on it and stuff. And based on that, if I follow you and you think a song is dope, it's just going to populate my tip-off list. Like Dave is tipping me off to a song that he thinks is dope. And you didn't have to share it with me. You just said it was dope. But because I choose to hear that from you, when you think a song is dope, because I know Dave's got good ear for music. If Dave likes it, I want to hear it, right? And so it makes it easier for music to move around between people as people have their own communities around who they like to hear music from, right? Because everybody's got somebody who, they like their sense of style and music, even whether they tell you it or not. I don't need your permission. I just follow you and low-key hit the setting and I'm being tipped off by Dave. And so it's just an easier way to connect and engage with the artist. And the goal is first to build a music social network, right? Like, big problem, get your music heard and find new ways in which you can monetize that content, because video content is everywhere and music is synced with video. So you look at Netflix, all these low budget films are coming out there, and you tell the music is underground music, or it's not that they're not using all the top artists, right? But how are they selecting those artists for that? They probably call a label or speak with somebody and they get in there. There's no efficient way as a new artist to put your name on the list for that movie, that video, whatever.
Let me ask you, is it kind of like, so Netflix right now, you can just find all, and for some reason, shouts out to them, but it's like a lot of African movies on there now.
Yep.
Where I don't know if they call a movie African, but a lot of, they got the accent. You know what I mean? So, but it's almost like you can put whatever you want on Netflix. I'm sure there's a vetting process, but they have the joint where it's like, because you watch this, we're going to suggest this. Right. So with TWEEDL, it's the same thing. It's like, because you listen to this, you'll probably like this.
And that's with every platform. Right. Every digital platform does that.
But if you follow me, then you can follow my taste.
That's the special plus.
And that's what creates community.
Yeah.
That's lit.
And that's what brings the crowd to your sound.
Walk me through how you built TWEEDL.
Oh, God. Well, I didn't build it.
I mean, you didn't build it, but you have this idea, gaping hole in the market, you find a problem.
Right.
What do you do?
So that in of itself is the very first step, right? Is like finding a problem, right? I get passionate around problems. RL Finance, you talked about, I was looking at a problem that existed in the marketplace. This is also a problem that exists in the marketplace. And so try to find a big problem with a consumer base that I think is desperate. And what's clear is that new artists are very, very desperate to get their music heard. There's no question about it, right? So I set out to solve it. Didn't know what I was going to do. So I put together a team of 4 or 5 people, and who I respected their ear in music and thought were cool and smart and whatever. And I said, let's talk about this problem. And we got into a room and we started, I want to build something to solve this problem, maybe an app or a website. There was no sort of definitive approach, but here is a big problem. Let's solve this problem. And we ideated over a period of 4 meetings. Each meeting lasted maybe 2 hours. And at the end of the 4 meetings, we had this whole vision and concept laid out, and had a guy on the team who had some creative design skills and designed the prototype. And now I had something that looked like an app on a phone that had no music, just images, but you could click it and make it, move, and you could tell a story with it. And I went out and raised $2.5 million with that. And then started
$2.5 million without the app. See, I be thinking you got to have the app. You know what I mean? You got to build it, then show people how it works.
Yeah. It's great. If you're Mark Zuckerberg, you can do that because he was an engineer and a coder, right? So he built Facebook in the dorm because he's an engineer. And he learned all the business stuff later, right? I learned all the business stuff first. I don't know anything about coding. I need somebody who can build the technology out.
So you took this prototype, you went and raised $2.5 million.
Yeah.
What was that pitch like?
It was a 15-minute pitch that basically said, there's a big problem in the marketplace. 99% of people can't get their music heard. I want to build a music social network, the first music social network, truly a music social network, and around helping new artists get their music heard. And that was the pitch. And let me show you what it's going to look like. And so they can upload music and you click and when you can touch and feel stuff, it's like, oh, it had a cool interface. Yeah. It looked cool and sexy and sleek, and people gravitated towards it.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, my biggest investor came from someone I didn't even know. I was waiting to meet with a buddy for drinks, and I'm sitting at the bar, and this guy is sitting next to me, And he had on a gold watch and a fancy suit, and and we just kind of started talking. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, I have an investment banking firm out in Kansas, somewhere like Kansas City or something. And I come to New York from time to time and doing deals and stuff. How about you? Hey, I'm launching this cool thing. Gave him my little 5-minute spiel. He's like, this sounds really cool. Like, I'm doing these $100 million boring industrial deals and stuff like this. This would be really fun. I think I can help you raise the money. I said, okay, cool. He says, here's my card. You got a card? I gave him my card. He says, next time I'm in New York, I'll call you. We'll do lunch or dinner or something. And I said, okay, cool. And then his guest came and he left, and my guest came and we went and had dinner or whatever. And that was that. And I was like, this guy's never going to call me. 2 weeks later, my phone rings. Hey, I'm back in New York City. And I said, I'd call you. Let's do lunch or something. So we meet up for lunch. I give him the full little pitch. He's like, yeah, I can help you get some money. I can get you $1.5 million. I can set you up real fast. I know somebody who'll be perfect for this. And literally within 10 days, I had $1.5 million in the bank.
What?
Yeah. He set up the meeting. They loved it, started documenting it. Never met the people. They say, well, before we cut the check, can you fly out to Kansas City and meet us? I was like, sure. Got on a plane, flew out to Kansas City, met with the team, flew back home. 2 days later, a check was in the account.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're gonna...
So it just means you have to be conversational. You got to be you're always on stage. You're always on stage. That's why, like, sometimes, you think no one's watching, everybody's watching. People watch how you move. People watch how you talk. People watch how you dress. People just watch you. And so you're always on stage. And that was a moment where I was on stage, not realizing that someone was observing my performance.
Goodness gracious. Preparation.
That's it.
Somebody you didn't know. You just started talking that talk. You met them.
And now we're friends.
I bet you are friends now.
Now we're friends. Yeah. So I know him well now.
Yo, are you able to tell me about the situation where, like, the guy gets these people together and he takes like equity or something like that? Remember you were telling me in New York, like you said, it's going to be a room full of investors.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because that is the coolest thing. I was thinking, I need to do that because he's smart.
Yeah, so we're out trying to raise more money for the company, and if I'm lucky, I can get another $2 million. I hope it's $5-6 million. But we got to raise the capital, and I get a call again, just always on stage. My phone rings, and this guy, a Russian guy, he says, "Tony, you still looking to raise money?" He goes, "Yeah."
Who called you? Who was the guy? Who's the Russian guy?
His name is Boris.
A random Boris called you?
I met him 2 years ago. So he says, you may not remember me, but we met 2 years ago in New York City at this event kind of thing. And he remembered me. I didn't remember him, but he remembered me.
Pin in the story. How do you become memorable? I don't get a call like that. Yo, I met you 2 years ago. Let's.
Oh, Dave, you're memorable.
I don't know.
You're memorable.
I'm all that memorable.
You're memorable. What are you talking about?
You follow me on the gram.
You're memorable. You see, but think about the love that gets spread with you with your guests that come in. They're here because you've already become memorable to them.
I'll take that.
Yeah, that's real. So, I mean, really, it's your passion that makes you memorable, right? If you're passionate about, like the young woman here who was speaking about real estate today, and your tax guy, they were so memorable because they're passionate about what they do. And they made it interesting and gave good feedback and good information about how they can apply it in their life. And so for me, they were memorable. I followed them. Yeah. They were memorable. And so you're reaching hundreds of thousands of people every day. You're memorable. You get 500 people on a call every day. That's memorable.
Yeah. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they're like, it's almost idea, but it's not like groundbreaking. This is one thing I learned from you. We had this conversation. And I got this t-shirt brand. I'm just thinking, okay, Sleep is for Suckers is going to be like kind of like a boutique. It's going to be cool. And I said something like, I think you said, what is the goal? Your biggest goal or something like that. And I said, I want to have my brand in a store in every state in the United States. Or he said, yeah, like a boutique in every city, in every major city or whatever. He was like, why don't you just try to pitch for Macy's? And I gave you this whole story on how I don't want to be in Macy's and it's not cool and all that kind of stuff. He's like, yo, you need distribution. And I couldn't really see past what I had done in Atlanta. We got a couple little boutiques.
Right.
And one of the things you taught me is like, yo, just, you got to go so big. And I think in terms of that memorability is, if you talk to somebody about something, so if he was like, yo, I'm trying to do this little social network thing with music, nobody's going to remember that.
Right.
But I've heard you talk. I mean, I think call you for something else. We talk about the something else for 5 minutes, and then you spend the next 30 minutes telling me about TWEEDL. Tell me about the problem about, like the streaming music and stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, I'm not a big music guy like that, but I get you pull me into it. You know what I mean? So
it's the passion. It's just, I'm not excited about taxes. I was excited today about taxes. I'm not excited about taxes. I'm not excited about real estate. I was excited today about real estate, right? People bring their passion. It's the passion for what you do that makes you memorable and exciting. And it's also that passion that makes you take the risk. Like the woman said, it's like, I just had $5,000 and I did it. I just did it. I didn't ask for permission, made no excuses. I just did it. And that's passion. That's the self-belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, if I was going to teach you how to make $1 million, would you give me 10,000? Like if I had a course teach you how to make $1 million a year positive, you're going to make $1 million, would you give me 10,000? Of course you would. It's no brainer, right? So in a calendar year, we make 7 figures with the podcast. But there's 21 things that I extracted from that you're going to need to launch your podcast. But I only got time to give you 3 right now. One is you need a distribution platform. The distribution platform is what you upload your podcast to. That platform sends it to Spotify, Apple, Google Play, so that your supporters can actually listen to your podcast. You're also going to need a microphone. You need a really good microphone so it's crispy audio. And 3, you need an income strategy. This is not necessarily a hobby, unless you're going to make it a hobby. But I can teach you how I made the 7 figures with these 21 things. Now, the good news is you don't have to give me 10,000. My ebook is only $37, okay? So listen, go to podcastebook.com and get the 21 things that you need. And I can explain it in detail, all the things that you need, okay? Podcastebook.com. Let's get to the episode. What are some of the comments? And we're going to get right back to Boris. But being around, because you've been around high net worth individual, yourself had a successful career, and just being in those circles, what do you notice, which is maybe a common thread amongst this elite group of people that you know, that the beginning level entrepreneur may not necessarily adapt yet?
Well, I would just say that at every level, you have to have a network that's beyond your level, right? You have to be talking to people. So I remember when I first started in college, coming out of college, I was making $19,500. Spent 4 years going to college. I could, but I'm an older man, so that was real money back in the day, right? That was livable income, and
20 grand.
Yeah, I was making 19.5. I was mad that I wasn't making 20, right? So and I would hang with people who was making like 35,000. Couldn't tell me that wasn't the world, right? And then all of a sudden you find yourself making 30,000, right? And then it's like, you're hanging with people who are making 75,000, and then you're making 75,000. You're hanging with people who are making 150, and then you're making 150. You're hanging with people who are making $500,000, and you're making $500,000. And you're hanging around with people who are making $2 million, and you start making $1 million, whatever. And you always got to hang around people who's doing something different than you and more than you, and still have your other network. I still have friends of mine from around the way that are just doing their thing, and we still communicate. We wish each other happy birthdays, and we follow each other on the gram, and we'll talk a couple of times a year and stuff. We'll see each other at different events and stuff. And that's cool, but you got to have somebody in your network that's taking you to the next level all the time.
Gotcha.
All the time. So I just, for example, just got an email. I was invited to, and I came here instead.
Thanks, man.
I came here instead. So in New York, a fundraising dinner for a brother who's running for governor of Maryland. Right? And the guest list is like, yeah, I want to be in that room. Right?
It's a way cooler room, though.
Yeah, well, it's a cool room, but it's that kind of thing though. When you think about the people in the room, and like, wow, okay, some of the people I know personally, some of the people I don't know would love to get to meet, but you're getting invitations to be in the room.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so but what are some of the personality traits that you find amongst like super successful people?
They're fearless and they're thoughtful, right? They think through the issues and the challenges, right? Like somebody telling you what you can deduct is one thing, right? But building a business so that you can have something to deduct is another thing, right? So you all those deductions are great, but like build your business. Like nothing comes more, like those are problems you have when you build it. So focus first on building. Like, yeah, you can get the deductions along the way. That's all cool. But at the end of the day, build your business. Grow your business.
100%.
Grow your business.
All right, so Boris calls it Tony. Does he talk like that?
He's
Tony. I've got
Yes, he does, actually. Yeah.
Okay, so he calls you and says, I met you 2 years ago.
Yeah, I met you. You may not remember me, whatever. Are you still looking to raise money? And I said, yeah, I'm always looking to raise money. He says, great. I'm doing this event. And, raising capital is an art as much as it is a science. And I've gone through so many different cycles of reaching out to venture capital, talking to angel investors, high net worth people, all this sort of stuff. And, you get various types of platforms that people invite you to. And this one was just the most unique that I've ever heard. He says, I have a network of investors. And for 3 days, I want you to host them to dinner. And I will bring you 30 investors a night, unique investors, just to hear your pitch. And all you got to do is feed them dinner. So, and I said, how do you get paid?
Hold on. So just because this is the coolest thing in the world. Boris has friends, network of of investors.
Doctors, lawyers, business executives, whatever, just high net worth people who are looking to invest in early stage cool stuff.
Right. So they're going to come because they're looking to invest.
They're looking, right.
And he puts them in a room for 3 days back to back.
No. Each day, 30 people. So it's 30 unique investors. So you get 90 investors over 3 days.
Dang.
Yeah. And when you give your presentation, it's just you. There's no other presentations being made, no other competing companies. It's you. They either like you or they don't.
So they're coming, the investors coming, one, because they want to hear an interesting business opportunity to invest in. But two, you feed them.
And you feed them.
You pay.
Yes, I pay.
Food. Okay.
So this will probably cost me $15,000 for the 3 days, $5,000-$6,000 a night to feed, 30 people, 2 glasses of wine, nice dinner or whatever in New York City. And I get a chance to tell them my story. And then somewhere within a period of 2 weeks, you'll have your money if they like you.
Right.
Yeah. And he's, people have raised 2 million, 6 million, different amounts of money at his dinners. So he says, and he gets paid only if you raise money.
That's lit.
Right. So it's like, I don't have any, my skin is in the game. Like, I want you to raise money because the more you raise, the more I get paid. He just takes a percentage.
He just takes a percentage of the money.
Yeah, like 5%. So if you raise, $1 million, he's going to get $50,000.
Is that not brilliant?
Yeah.
Because I know some investors, bro.
He's monetizing his network. And I'm just bringing you cool stuff. You don't have to invest, but if they invest, I get 5%. And then he says, he takes it one step further, and I want my pay in equity in the company. So I want to take my 5% and reinvest it in you and get stock like they're buying. So now, he becomes an investor in all these different companies that he brings through and just has a portfolio of all these new startup plays.
Tell Boris I need him on the podcast.
I'll get him in here.
I need Boris.
First, I'll see if it works. Right. If it works and we get funding, I'll definitely get him in here.
Well, it's coming up soon?
November 15th and 16th. So we're doing 2 nights.
Oh, it's coming up.
Yeah.
It's next week, ain't it?
Yeah.
I mean, from when, y'all don't know when we're recording this.
Yeah.
Dang. Are you ready?
Of course I'm ready. I'm always ready to tell the TWEEDL story.
How much are you looking to raise?
Well, I'm hoping to raise 5 million if I can. Yeah. But I'll be happy with 2 million.
What does that represent? Is there a cap of money that you will accept?
Valuation, people always say like, how much of your company do you give away? It's like, how much do you sell your house for? right? Valuing a business is like valuing a home, right? So when you think about it, what's my house worth? If I'm going to put it on the market to sell, you're going to look at all the houses in the neighborhood that sold. You're going to do the comparable study and say houses in this neighborhood typically sell for this. And then you're going to look at, well, my house has all these upgrades and stuff, so I can get a little bit more and all that kind of stuff. And you value your home. So that's what you think, that's what your ask is, right? And then the buyer comes along and says, nah, I'm going to offer you this. And you might get the experience that Joe had, where people are frenzied and they offer more than the ask, or you might get a bunch of people offering less. But the market value of a house or a business is what a willing buyer and seller are willing to agree to. So that's what market value is. So you can say my house is worth $200,000. If you get 4 offers at 175 and 180, your house is really worth somewhere around 175, 180, because otherwise, you can't get what you want, right? Sure. So that's the same concept. So when you think about how much of my company do I give away for money that I raise is a valuation question. How much is my business really worth? And you say, well, I think my business is worth $100 million. And so if you give me 10 million, you're going to get around 10% of the company, right? And somebody might say, well, I want 15% of the company for 100 million. You might, which brings your valuation down. You might say, well, I want the 10 million and, what's 5% between friends sold, right? Like, and the value is 90 million or something, right? Sure. So that's really how it works. So that's the dance, right? So you go out with an ask. So, I'm saying my company is worth $20 million today. And so that's the benchmark. So if you give me $2 million, now my company's worth 22.
All right.
Right? And 2 divided by 22 is what you get in terms of percentage ownership.
If I was going to go into this presentation where I'm going to present an idea, because I got some ideas that I need some money for.
Right. So new ideas, there's a typical range for a new idea, which is around, $5 million for just a brand new idea. And you don't have a product, you're just pitching ideas and you're trying to raise money. If it's a really good idea, you can get away with a $5-6 million initial valuation.
I need $1 million though, so I can get this.
Yeah.
But what would you advise somebody to go into a situation? Because I'm essentially asking you what you're gonna keep in mind while you're doing this. But say I was gonna call Boris, like, Boris, hold me down. I'm in there. Next 3 days, I'm gonna present.
Right.
What advice would you tell me to keep in mind amongst this elite group of individuals that you're asking money for?
You got to know your value proposition. What are you selling? What are you offering? Right? What's the problem you're solving? Right? And if the problem is big and if the problem is urgent, those are the best deals. Right? If the problem, so you're solving a big problem is one thing, or you're reinventing the way something gets done today, right? You're making it much more efficient like Amazon just makes it so much more efficient to buy goods and services, right? That's why they just blew up. Like, or Tesla just changed the way automobiles are made and how your value lasts. Like, part of the reason why people buy Tesla is just like, you buy a car, as soon as you drive it off the lot, what happens to the value?
Goes down.
Right. Tesla sends you an over-the-air update, and now your software is updated, and your car is like a brand new car. You got all the new automation from it, like you get an update to your phone. Right. So the value of your car stays, declines much less rapidly than the automobiles today. So they changed the whole economics of automobile ownership. Because every time they update their computer system, they're going to update your car, just like your phone gets updated.
Oh, it's like getting a new engine.
Yeah, it's like if Apple can update your device with all the new operating system stuff over the air, and Tesla does that too.
Gotcha.
Right. So that holds the value of it. So you buy a car for $50,000, 5 years later, you're selling it for $40,000 instead of $20,000 or $10,000 or something.
For sure.
Yeah.
So how do I translate that advice to, how do I keep that in mind? Are you saying I have to make the problem or the solution revolutionary?
Yeah, just really think about what it is you're trying. What are you making it more efficient? Or are you just solving a problem that no one has ever solved before? Or are you just introducing something completely revolutionary that no one even thought about? Like, wow, it would be really cool to be able to walk around and talk to people and have a music on the same device. I mean, Apple just said, you know what, we're going to give you a cool phone. that you can like touch screen and do stuff on. And it was just a phone. And like no one had ever experienced like this ability to communicate in a mobile way. It was just revolutionary. So you can really come up with a whole new idea. It's just make it really new and interesting, right? Those are the most exciting things that people want to invest in. Technologies for tomorrow.
Yeah, I would love to have been in that conversation where the dude did the little drawing on a napkin and y'all gave him $5 million. That must be an awesome presentation. Because I think it just goes to show like your passion, your ability to communicate an idea has the most value than anything I can think of.
That's what it is, yeah.
Not even your ability to perform, like your ability to communicate an idea.
You got to be able to tell the story, which means how you speak matters, right? So we don't often as a community pay attention to how we speak. But when you listen to them, like Kanye, Jay-Z, Diddy, they're brilliant. Like if you just listen to them, they're brilliant. They're not Harvard educated, but they speak well and they communicate their messages really well. Yeah. They're great brand marketers.
One thing I learned from you too is on the structuring of a deal. Like any deal can get done.
Yep.
You just have to structure it. Yeah. Right. So I got a couple of deals that I'm gonna run past you.
I consider myself to be a financial engineer. So every deal has complexities. And how you deal with those complexities is the negotiation, right? And so if you're going to buy some real estate and you're doing the due diligence, like I'm buy this land, 40 acres, and the mule is dead. But I still want the 40 acres, but you're trying to charge me for the dead mule, right? And a dead mule could be like, we got some environmental issues on the property, right? So people were burying barrels of oil and it needs to be remediated and removed, and there's a cost. Or, we got some other land use issue, right? Some eminent domain, like easements where people can walk through it. And, so like, for example, Rockefeller family owns Rockefeller Center in Manhattan. People walk across Rockefeller Center all day long, every day. So that's an easement. Everybody has the right to walk down Fifth Avenue in that area, cut through, and you can't stop us except once a year. And they do it once a year where they block it off from traffic. Cars can't go through, whatever, once a year to claim their property.
Really?
Yeah. That way you don't get a federal easement where you just lose your right to stop people. It's no longer your property. It's like if you have a house and kids walk through your backyard every day and you get a little path and that's their shortcut to go to school. And every day they walk through your backyard and then you go to put up a fence. And for 20 years, you let people walk through. You've lost your right to that path.
Wow.
Because there's an easement. For 20 years, people have been going through it. There's a path like you didn't protect your property. But if you put up a fence and lock the gate once a year, but let them go through anyway, but except one day, then you've taken control of your property.
Rockefellers are smart.
Yeah.
Golly. Okay, so
I don't know how we got on that topic.
Yeah, we're talking about deals. Like
Yeah. So deals come with complexity. So you always got to think about the risk in a transaction, right? When you're doing a deal, you're buying property. People want to buy houses and stuff. And the young lady, Terry, was talking about the risk, right? That's the due diligence process because every deal has risk. I call it hair. There's always hair on a deal and some deals are hairier than others. And your job is to figure out what the risks are and who should assume the risk, right? Because that's really all you're negotiating.
I know what the risks are. Okay, so I'm going to give you the scenario. So there's a building that I want to get. It's $1 million. And I'm going to do some really, really cool stuff in it. I got this whole vision of we're going to build like escalating seats, like an auditorium, and have the auditorium seating, right? So we're building an auditorium, right? But really cool, like almost like you do an opera in this joint.
Okay.
I want to get the building. It's $1 million.
Yep.
The stuff that's going on in the building, I don't necessarily want to partner with someone. I just want to take their money and I pay you back. Pay you a certain amount of money back. But what Terica was saying a second ago was like, no, I'll partner in the negotiation with some hair. And she said, I want equity in the business.
Right.
What do you see in that deal? Where's the hair?
There's no hair in that. If they, the hair is she wants to get her hands dirty in managing the business in ways that you don't want to take the business, right? So if you want to protect your vision, right, you have to have the control over your vision, like, the decision-making authority, right? So you make sure you document those kind of things in the contract, like I have full authority to do this, and this. And these are the kind of things I have to bring to your attention.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't have to ask permission to do this, right? You document those kind of concerns.
Have you had
those are easy ones.
Have you had give me a deal that you've experienced that super hairy, like, or maybe something was missed and it was just a big explosion.
It's not, they're all confidential, so I can't really get specific. But
I mean, not hypothetical, but what is it? Inconspicuous. Give me, you know what I'm saying. Don't say the right name.
Yeah. Let me. So, we were negotiating a deal with a large global telecommunications company. So we bought our portfolio out, our tech company out of our parent company, Lucent. And we were looking to partner with a global telecom company that had their research centers, and they were in Europe. And we had spent a tremendous amount of time negotiating this deal and spent a lot of money on lawyers and travel overseas and all this sort of stuff. And one of my partners is leading the negotiations. And so I'm sitting in my office, and our counsel comes running into my office. Tony, this deal is about to blow up. We can't afford to let this deal blow up. If this deal blows up, we're ruined. And it's degenerated to the two principals cursing the F-bomb at each other, MFs, and this is not good. So I run into the room, and all I hear is my partner.
Give me the edited version.
Excuse me. Sorry.
I thought it was doing good with the F-bomb thing.
F this, F that, F that, and on the speakerphone is coming back at him. So it's crazy. So I immediately hit the mute button on the phone, and I looked at my partner like, what are you doing? Meanwhile, this insults are still coming from the other side. But I'm like, what are you doing? Like, we can't afford to lose this deal. Like, we got to stop this. And so let me speak. And so I got back on the call, and I knew the party. So I said, hey, this is Tony. What's going on? This and that, I said, a lot of fun going on in the room right now. So I just really want to know what's going on. Like, what are the issues that you're trying to deal with? And, I don't know if you ever read this book. This is when I really dug deep into an old book that I had read called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you haven't read it, you must read it, because I think it's habit number 6 or 5. And it says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Because when people see that you make a passionate effort to understand them, they're more willing to understand you. And so I immediately jumped into seek first to understand mode.
Right.
And it's like, what is your problem? And he started telling me what his issues were and stuff. And I articulated it back. And people never give you their problem in first layer, right? It's like, what's wrong, honey? Nothing.
No,
really.
My wife, did she talk to you?
No, really. Really, what's wrong? Well, I had a bad day at work. Oh, so, your boss says something? No, well, basically what happened, and you got to go through the layers, and 7 questions later, it's like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I hate this. You took the time to understand them, and you peeled away the layers. And that's what I did with this guy. So what's going on? And he starts telling me, and I was like, so what you're saying is this, that? Well, no, really, it's this. And you go through that back and forth until he's like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's the problem. And I said, I understand your problem. And let's see if we can fix that. So in fixing your problem, I just want to make sure that we can do one thing for us. And he goes, well, what is it? Now he wants to hear what my problem is. And I said, well, our primary concern is this right here kind of thing. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can work around that. And then you start changing the dialogue around cooperation. And within 20 minutes, we sealed the deal.
Wow.
And just changing the tone. So to me, I just think it's about just understanding that it's a negotiation. Everything, there's no rule book. Like, you can study everything on how to buy real estate, how to buy a car, how to buy a house, how to buy this, that, whatever. But in real life, it's just a negotiation. There's no cookie cutter approach to a negotiation.
Goodness gracious. He's helping me do some things in my business right now. Do you want to, so you came into my company and he's doing it as a major favor, and I appreciate you helping me in my business. Any advice you got for me? Because he found out a lot about who I am and who I'm not through talking to the team. Well, I thought that was really cool how you did that. So he was like, let me just talk to understand. And I understand. So he came in to the company, he's talking to everybody. So we got Joe here. Is that Christina? What's up, Chris? So we got Christina and Lauren and Donald and Mark, and just went to talk to everybody. What'd you tell them about me, Joe?
It's confidential.
All right, so and you can tell me good or bad, it's okay, because my audience knows I need help. But what have you found out about me through talking to the people on my team?
That you're in a state of evolution, right? That and with evolution brings about changes, not only organizationally, but personally as a leader. And so you got some leadership growth challenges to managing a team that I think will be important in helping you grow your business to the next level. And operationally, just
I have leadership issues.
I wouldn't call them issues. I just, when you used to work at the Cheesecake Factory and they wanted to teach you how do you get promoted from busboy to server? Yeah. You need to progress in the metrics, and then you can get that promotion. Well, for you need to progress on some things so that you can be that next level CEO.
What are the things that you see?
Well, it's
okay. I like to be transparent because there are some other people that are dealing with some things. And I don't mind.
So one of the things is that, so as you start making money, right, how you delegate your roles and responsibilities matters, right? Because everybody looks to David. And organizationally, that will never work, right? You got to have a C-suite of some sort where teams and roles are allocated to people who you then give them the trust to do it. So you get really good at hiring. And if you make a mistake, fire quickly and replace, right? But you got to trust people in certain roles and positions so that they can, help you grow your business. So, so you kind of get out of the weeds a little bit. And so in the beginning, you're always in the weeds. Every entrepreneur is. But over time, there's so many weeds, you can't farm it all. You can't pull up all the weeds. You got to let other people pull the weeds and let them get in the weeds. And you take your level of concern to the next level. Like, I want to know the mid-manager level issues, bring those to me, and you manage the weeds and the day-to-day to get everything done. And over time,
what if you see issues though, man? You got
that means you're not hiring right. You still want me? That's what it means. That means, you gotta, and sometimes it's not that you don't hire right. It's like you're not leading the people you have right. Right. So, because every step is a transformation. Like today, people hire me to transform organizations, right? To change culture, to fix their infrastructure, to build and grow and stuff like that. And so these kind of things that you're going through is a little bit of a culture change. And when you change a culture, that's really, really hard. And sometimes in changing culture, it means you have to ask people to leave. Sometimes it means people will leave voluntarily, right? In changing culture as you evolve. That's just a natural part of growth. Like, 20 years from now, you could have this $1 billion empire, but you won't be sitting around with the same team.
You've seen that a lot. How often do you see people grow with the same team?
I just put it this way. I've never seen it. Like when I went to Combs Enterprise working for Diddy, there were a few people there who were there 20 years. And there were a lot of people there who were there 5 years, and a lot of people there who were 2 years. And, and the group of people who were there 20 years were faded. And I meet so many people like, oh, so so-and-so. I was like, what? Oh, no, they were before me. Oh, they were before me. Like there was a lot of people that come and go before you. Right. And that's always the case. And even as we went through our transformation, people came and went.
You've never really seen the same. Well, I guess
boys, you could. I mean, you can have 2 or 3 people that kind of grow.
And even Boys to Men didn't stick together. Neither did 112. Either Drew Hill either.
See?
Dang, that's crazy.
See?
You gonna stick around, Joe, or? You never know.
Let's put it this way, though. The more fun he has, the more money he makes, and the more leadership opportunity he gets, the more challenge he gets, the longer he'll be with you. Will he be with you for 10 years? Maybe not. But you might be able to get 5 good years out of him. And that depends on you. Right? And, the idea is that
always dependent upon me?
Well, who else is it going to,
I mean, I've had situations where I even maybe give somebody more responsibility. This is a specific situation. More responsibility, more money, and you wind up leaving anyway.
Happens all the time. I've been that person.
Which person?
Get the money and leave. Oh. Sometimes, I was pissed at I worked at a company, Ernst & Young, and I went and complained to my boss, and he didn't fix it. So I went to my boss's boss and, you're going to be promoted to partner. You should hang around. Everybody loves you, this and that, whatever. Yeah, but I'm a disgruntled employee. Like, I got some issues. I told him what they were. And he says, let me see what I can do. So the next day he calls me in his office and he hands me a 6-figure check. He says, we like you here. He handed me a 6-figure check. I took that check, said, thank you very much. I deposited it in my account. When the check cleared, I quit.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. So did you take it as paid and suffering?
It was like, sometimes it's time to go. But it also says, don't be afraid to use your voice. I mean, sometimes we get so afraid of outcomes, and change is your greatest opportunity. Whether it feels bad or not, change is your greatest opportunity. The reason why you need to speak up, because it's broken. It's not right. It's not sitting with your soul. So when you speak up, if you get fired, that's a change that's going to open up a new opportunity for you. And if you don't get fired, you might get a check out of the deal, and then you could quit.
Well, I did ask Joe today, how is mental health? I was like, how's your mental health? And,
Doesn't Joe do mental health, right? You told me about something like that. Yeah, but those be the ones
that's most messed up.
Oh, for sure. All day.
It's a psychologist that'd be crazy. They're nuts in that.
We're all messed up.
Yeah, 100%.
But as a leader, though, I mean, I think that leadership for growth is important, right? You are a trailblazer because people do watch you. I was talking to a guy, low-key, I'm not going to mention the name, but I may have a corporate sponsor for you. But I'm not going to tell you until it's a little bit more solidified. But because I think it fits well with your brand, and this is a real corporate global brand that, if they, I'm talking a real corporate sponsor deal. So, but I don't know yet, right? So I spoke to my guy yesterday. He's going to make the introduction and stuff. We'll see if it pans out, but I think it'll be a perfect fit for you. And, but leadership for growth is important because you are growing and people are watching. And so I said, yes, I'm helping my nephew. He's got this podcast, real social proof, and he's got a morning meetup call. He goes, are you kidding? I know him. Like, yeah, I just watch this. I watch him every day. I watch him religiously. And he's out in LA.
Wow.
He's out in LA and he says he watches your podcast religiously. Yeah. So you reach people. You are an influence for people. I never would have expected that nucleus to cross. He's like, I know your nephew then, David Shands, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Give me a round of applause, please, for being out here. And then give Joe a round of applause because he makes this possible, right? So you see that leadership right there?
Yeah. So people, but it's important because you're being vulnerable and saying like, I got weaknesses as I grow. And that's okay, right? It's not about how everybody has weaknesses. We all have them. The key is, how do you make your weakness your strength?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you always look at your weaknesses and make them your strengths, like you become a faster, stronger person. And it's kind of like the gazelles and the hyenas, right? The hyenas always go after the slower, weaker gazelles as they're running in the safari in Africa. And as they eat and kill the slower, weaker gazelles, the herd of gazelles becomes stronger and faster because you're only as weak as your weakest link, right? And so as you kind of go through your leadership, people will realize when they're weak and they'll opt out, they'll complain, they'll make it seem like it's your fault. You don't know how to manage a company, whatever. But low key, they know that they're not up for the task and they're just going to quit. And other people, you're going to say, you ain't as good as you think you are. You got to go, right? You're going to have to get rid of somebody. And, and then the rest is like going to grow. But you got to become really good at finding good talent and then trusting the talent. And you're going to make mistakes and you fire quickly. And, but you got to also invest in developing people and making sure that people understand your mission and your vision, right? Because everybody comes into an organization with a goal and an objective that's their own, right? So you got a vision like, I'm moving in this direction. And Joe walks in and he's got a vision that he wants to move in this direction. And how does he get his vision more aligned with yours and not sacrifice his personal agenda? And same thing with Christina and anybody else who's working with you. How do they align their vision and purpose and sort of what they want to do with their life in line with where you're going? And the more they diverge is when people leave, because everybody's going to pursue their own thing.
That's a fact. This was good, Tony. Thank you so much.
Leadership.
I appreciate it, man. And he came on, and I did hire him, but he said, "Hey, man, if it's a little bit of money, I'm only here in 90 days." He's like, I want to make this very clear, okay? I'm not here forever. I'm just helping you out. And shouts out to Marilyn, because Marilyn convinced him because he wasn't going to take it.
I wasn't. I told my wife, David's bugging me. He wants to help him out, and he only wants to pay me X. Like, I'm like, she was like, well, you can't say no to him. Like, what? Like,
shouts out to Marilyn, man. She's got my back. But yeah, man, this was a very, I'm glad people get to be in on the conversations. We have these conversations literally a couple times a week. So people get to hear that. So I got to do a quick commercial.
Yeah, I don't have that sort of young entrepreneurial message and way to make money real fast and all that sort of stuff. I just have a message of bigness of your dreams. And that's what I'll close on after you do your commercial break.
100%. Okay, cool. So this episode is sponsored by The Morning Meetup. TheMorningMeetup.com is the most amazing organization on earth. It's the only place that entrepreneurs gather every single day for the betterment of entrepreneurship. Tony, where would you go? Okay, excluding The Morning Meetup. Where would you go if you wanted to connect with 500 entrepreneurs every single morning? Not even every morning, but one morning out of the month. Where would you go?
I don't think there is a place I can go.
It doesn't exist. And we do it every day, Monday through Friday.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I get to teach entrepreneurship, bring on my special guests. You've been on there. You spoke on it.
I was on it, yeah.
I need to bring you back. But you want to come back?
I'll come back.
Good. So everybody, you get access to my entire network, and it's $79 a month, but you get to try it out for $1. If you like it, stay. If you don't, you can leave. It's all good. No obligation, no contracts to sign. So go to themorningmeetup.com and you'll be a part. So Tony, got one more question before we close out, man. I like to make predictions on the podcast.
Okay.
So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Because I want to be able to watch this interview 5 years later.
Okay.
Say, Tony said he was going to do that. And
yep.
He did.
So in 5 years, TWEEDL will be the most influential company in music discovery.
Right now, it's what, TikTok?
TikTok is pretty influential. Yeah. Spotify is,
true.
they're really, ask a new artist what's the most influential business in discovery, and they'll say, I don't know, because I can't get my music heard. So TWEEDL will be the most influential music company in music discovery. Yes.
I love it. There it is. Well, look, Tony, please close this out, man. Let us know how to find you and let them know how to be a part of TWEEDL. And then close this out with a word of wisdom.
Yeah, so TWEEDL is spelled TWEEDL. If you like to experience new music, so you notice I don't say discover new music. If you want to experience new music, it's all independent artists. Go to TWEEDL, by genre, sign up, download the app. It's a really, really dope app. It's a beta and it's got a ways to go. So you can't really appreciate the future of TWEEDL by looking at the app, but we got some really, really cool stuff coming. Once we raise this capital, be on the lookout for something that experiences you've never seen before. But the essence is that the people are the talent scouts, and so the people need to be rewarded for identifying who's hot and being a part of just think about it. You make every artist wealthy, but you don't get paid for that. Right. And it's because you're discovering them and you're promoting them and you're listening to them and you're excluded from the value chain. We want to change that. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming out, and just, ride with the brand. In 5 years, David, most influential music company.
Let's get it. I believe it, man. Look, thank you so much, man. Do yourself a favor. Make sure you follow Tony. What's your Instagram? Straight underscore.
It's straight to the point. STRA8. STRA8.
I think
the number
it's STR8.
No, it's the A in there. If you just type in STRA8,
it pops up on the video.
It just pops up automatically.
Right.
Because it's an underscore point. But if you just type in STRA8, it should pop up. Because I don't think anybody has that.
There it is.
But it's straight to the point is the handle, and you got it. Yeah, STRA8, and it'll pop up. And I also am. Doing another, this is my foray into entrepreneurship at the grassroots level. I'm going to close on this too. So I've been on a fitness journey over the last 18 months, and I've lost 40 pounds. And I'm not
going to clap for that.
and I did it with body weight movements at home. 15 to 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And in that process, I started getting all kinds of health benefits. I'm 60 years old, and my blood pressure went down, and, body aches, those childhood injuries, like people never knew that, I couldn't lift my arm up past, because I sort of almost tore my rotator cuff like 13 years ago or whatever. And so, hey, nobody knows there's a problem with your arm, but like doing like this, no. Touching my back, no. All that kind of stuff was impossible. I had double knee replacement. I was told by my orthopedic that I was bone on bone and required double knee replacement, and I could barely walk when I began this journey. And without any surgery, I'm running 4 miles. I'm jumping, I'm doing anything, and I don't feel any aches in my knees. I have full range of motion with all my joints, and I wake up with no body aches, like no old man morning stress. I just literally get out of the bed and start walking. And I just feel like calisthenics is how your body is intended to move. My abs are coming in, my definition is there, and I'm not going to the gym at all. And so I created a Grow Fit Together community. It's a community for men over 40, but anybody really can do it. But I target men over 40. And it really just, people ask, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? How'd you do it? I'll show you. And so every morning I'm on Zoom at 7 a.m. And I'm by myself. Because no one shows up. But that's okay. I'm not giving up on it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. I might have to partner with you.
Grow Fit Together.
All right. Grow Fit Together. Look, man, do yourself a favor, man. Go follow my Uncle Tony, okay, right now. And also do yourself a favor, get you some social proof, meaning go build something, okay? But I need you to take what you've learned through the process of building something back to your community and teach them how you did it. All right? We are out of here. Peace. You are talented, but the biggest problem you have is you do not have a community. If you take your talents and put it in the right community, it will grow. It's like you have a really special seed. If you put it in the right environment, the right soil, it grows. When it's in the wrong soil, it just doesn't grow. You are a very special seed, but you're just in the wrong soil. You're around the wrong people. Do you know at the Morning Meetup, themorningmeetup.com, there's 500 to 700 entrepreneurs that gather every single day. The ground is fertile. I'm teaching entrepreneurship from very basic, practical steps on how to grow your business. Inside the Morning Meetup, we've had multiple people. I've helped dozens of people quit their job. First off, I'm the best coach in the world. So I want you to join the community. Not for me, though, even though I'm going to give you some really good information. I want you to be around this environment of other people that are winning, okay? So go to themorningmeetup.com and just do the $1 trial. If you like it, you can stay. It's only $79 a month. I just want you to taste test it. But if you do taste test it, you're like, I don't like this. I don't like David. I don't like the way he looks. It's too early in the morning. It's actually 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can just leave. No obligation. It's all good. Nobody's going to chase you down, okay? So go to themorningmeetup.com. This is exactly what you've been looking for.